Welcome back, gamers and gameheads, to this RGL.GG Invite Highlander cast. We are Season 23, Week 2, watching DZCreatures take on BigBrainComp here on Koth, Ashville. I am Alto, joined by Zag to my side, Dolphin behind the camera, as always. Zag, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Ready for some more Highlander action. Week 1 gave us a pretty interesting matchup that told us a lot about a couple of potential mid-table teams. And we're seeing one of them here again tonight in DZCreatures. I was very impressed with them last week, and albeit this should be a bit more of a one-sided match just based on where we have teams ranked from the preseason leading in. We ended up deciding for this match cast because not too many of the matches were close. We were between this and one other, but we decided that it'd be nice to get BigBrainComp on the cast because they probably won't be on the cast very much for the rest of the season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm personally expecting a 4-0 from DZCreatures. I'll say that right now, but hopefully BBC can make it a bit interesting at least.
Yeah, I do want to go down the rosters early because I think there's a few changes to this BBC roster from those who may be familiar with it. So, starting on the side of BBC, it will be Holly on Scout, Billy Boy on Soldier, Witch on Pyro, Colin on Demoman, Scourge on Heavy, Like a Sir on Engineer, Manfart on Medic, Melvin on Sniper, and Aimboat on Spy. Oh, I think we're getting words. It looks like it's going to be Tree Monkey on Soldier actually coming in. So we'll be Tree Monkey on Soldier instead.
Yep, and on the side of DZCreatures is going to be JPEG on Scout, Dinko on Soldier, TK on Pyro, Scary Broccoli on Demoman, Lizard on Heavy, DZ Creeper on Engineer, Iku on Medic, Wazari on Sniper, and Lemon on Spy.
Oh, and another update. Yeah, Walrus will be on Heavy, not Scourge, which was one of the question marks I had coming in ahead of time. So I think we're getting that ironed out right now. But otherwise, yeah, I think DZ came in strong enough last week that it's hard to not look at them as the favorites here. I mean, I think they're probably the tentative 5th seed right now, just in terms of how teams are going to be ranked off of scrim results and general kind of consensus. That said, those easily can imagine them pulling an upset against a higher ranked team. BBC is a team that we are a little bit harder to try and rank just because they had a really solid season last year. I guess it was last year, but last season where I think we thought they may have been competing for playoffs from time to time. Always tend to come out and get at least one big upset win we've seen the past 2 seasons in Invite, but haven't been able to break that playoff boundary line yet. And this season as well, it's a little bit difficult to rank them. I think on paper, again, we like the roster of DZ a lot better, but this team's always had a habit of, I don't know if you can say overperforming, because that feels like a slight to them, but at least proving us wrong and coming up with big wins when it matters most. So if they can pull out a dub tonight, I think they'll really set themselves on the right foot for the season.
Yeah, that said, I don't think the map is favorable to them. In theory, we have Asheville here as our map, very established Koth map where Highlander fundamentals are very important on this map in a lot of ways. It's not like a product where like you can DM your way out of anything. Good pushes and good recognition of how to play post is very important on Asheville. And from what I saw of the DZCreatures last week, I have so much faith that they will come out and show strong enough fundamentals to essentially make this map probably one-sided in my mind.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, though, that I'm interested to see is that last week, in spite of all of DZCreature's solid team play, I don't think Wazari was someone who took over upward as much as you might expect a sniper to when their team is being that dominant on the map. So I'm not convinced that we're going to see a sniper take over again this week, which I think gives Melvin and Aimboat some room to kind of wedge their way in here. Potentially, take a round or two if BBC's able to really set Melvin up, let him just snipe unimpeded, keep those sight lines locked down. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Wazari to have that star performance that we didn't see from him last week. So, agreed otherwise that it's hard for me to not see DZ winning this match, but I think BBC, if they play their cards right, can hopefully pull at least 1 to 2 rounds. And if they can do that early on, especially, you know, if their practice is good enough that they can come in, get that first round, maybe pull a second early, puts a lot of pressure onto DZ, and that's how upsets are made.
Yeah, and rounds is always very important. Going to be the main tiebreaker coming into the playoff seeding. So being able to get as many on the board, very important, especially on Koth, where you can start racking up rounds if you just win the 50-50s on mids, on round closer conclusions. Just being able to sneak points on the board is always going to be appreciated. And with that, we are waiting on a couple more players to join up. I believe we have 17 and server. Predictions are live. Most people favoring DZCreatures for likely the reasons we pointed out. And yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty straightforward one. It's also Ashville, so it would not surprise me if we were in and out here pretty quickly.
Yeah, gonna be big. I think a lot on Colin too, because Scary Barkley showed a lot of really solid fundamentals last week. Just staying alive, putting out good damage, being exactly where the team needs him to. And, you know, it's Highlander Koth, right? If you can get your trinity of Scout, Demo, and Sniper all working, there's not a lot of things that can beat you here. So, someone that if you had asked me offhandedly before this season who I thought was the better Demo, Broccoli or Colin, I probably couldn't give you a solid answer. So, it'll be interesting to see how much of that solid team play from upward on the side of DZ continues on into Koth, and if, you know, maybe the more just DM style heavy, or the DM heavy style of the map can interrupt that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you are the underdog on an Asheville game, you kind of just want to play fast. You want to play aggressive, because the second things get slowed down and you're put into situations where you might be more uncomfortable, you will get exploited by more experienced teams. So if you are BBC here, I'd really want to see them come out aggressive on mids. You know, don't be afraid to do the thing where you just jump people in, you walk across instantly, you're heavy, we'll take 400 damage, it's fine. Just try to win the mid in the first 5 seconds. I think that typically is a good way to play for an underdog team.
So what I'm hearing is a jetpack pyro bomb? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean,
Zach?
honestly, I don't hate it. I really don't hate it.
Come out and get everyone in. Just worry. Yeah, don't worry about protecting your medic. Worry about getting theirs and dealing with that after the fact. Just get everyone across. So we do have 18 in server, and it looks like we are going live. So 23 week 2 DZCreatures versus BBC. We are live.
Yep, going to be BBC on blue team, DZCreatures on red. So you can take this first mid fight. Both demos doing their rollouts. Going to be really early for Colin, actually. We paused already.
Oh boy.
Amazing. Hey, at least we didn't have a pause last week. So the first pause of the season on cast took all the way to week 2.
5, 4.
Yeah, let's take a look at this mid. Do some really high-level analysis coming in.
I mean, who has the better first sticky is the question. I think the answer is Broccoli has the better first sticky, because it might do damage to Colin, but Colin's is on the shutter.
Colin already took damage from his sticky, actually. Colin came in at full, and that first sticky knocked the buff off, brought him down to 135.
Yeah, that guy's Broccoli's winning mid. Looks like the pauses for a crash that happened, likely midway into this round, because of how early this was. So hopefully we'll get that player reconnected and resumed as fast as we can.
Something I do think is interesting, and this is probably of minimal, you know, only a couple percents here and there, but you'll notice that JPEG rolled out bats, and there's the repause probably to let Melvin back in, whereas Holly's rolling out through Shutter, and because Manfart's been able to beam that scout, Manfart is further up in lobby than Eku is. You know, maybe a second or so forward, so it's interesting to me that JPEG's rolling out bats, maybe to try to stop an early soldier bomb. Gonna get on that roof early, but the beam's in sooner for Manfart. Walrus and Abel gonna go down first right off the bat. Melvin answers up the Lizard, but frags all coming in favor of DZCreatures right now. It's gonna be Manfart being forced back out to spawn. No one even left to heal, as Dinko getting aggro in lobby, not going to catch up to that med. And, you know, you said you wanted aggro, and that's exactly what we saw, but from DZ.
Yeah, Dinko had a really good mid, jumped forward onto ramp, got 2 kills, took the sniper out of the game pretty early. So, yeah, impressive mid from Dinko and Co. They all just walked up, played aggressive, took the point, and that's a bit of a taste of what I think this entire match is going to be, to be honest. So we'll see if BBC have any response here. They do have Ubercharge, because of their med walking back out. So looks like they are grouped on Bat's shutter side. See if they can find an entry pick, maybe get some space before they pop this Uber, and there's their entry onto Lizard.
Yep, no Heavy's gonna help out in this post. Uber's exchange PK, leading the charge, pulling people back. Colin forced to jump out onto Bats. All the space locked up right now for DZ, and Witch goes down. That said, Lizard just spawning up now. The 8v8, but Walrus peeking shot a little early, gonna get his head blown off. Colin gets launched forward onto the roof, but manages to kill Echo with it. Gonna just surf that forward, take the med pick as he will, backs up and survives. So Colin showing up big early, creating this opening. Now it's just the rest of the team to walk forward and take the space.
Yeah, and credit to Tree Monkey, he was on that bomb there, popped Echo up for the alley-oop, so Explosive Class is getting in early on that med pick, and even though they do have big heal and Uber advantage, they still haven't capped the point. They are going to walk on now with their spawners, try and take the space, going to take down Wazari, so that's going to be no sniper to worry about. Melvin going to take a wide angle. Looks like DZCreatures want to contest here, and with a stab onto the sniper, they will try. They are making a lot of chaos in the backline. They're going to run up. DZ Creeper taking down Walrus, and that's going to buy them a lot of space, and they stop the cap.
Yeah, they lost enough people there and took long enough that the spawns came back up. The Uber's now going to get popped out, and Echo gets stabbed, so it's going to continue to be at. That said, point still hasn't been capped up yet. Almost 2 minutes off for DZCreatures before BBC finally caps it. They're going to come in. They're sitting on about 20 ad right now, so things in a good spot for them, but they're going to need to pull off multiple defenses in a row here if they want to look to even that time. Telly's gonna go down, Lemon back at spawn, and now the team just playing looks like a little bit cautiously for Sack. But that might not be what's coming.
Yeah, I mean, the bright side is that they do have Uber advantage once again because of that stab onto Iku. So BBC only a minute and change down, but they are able to kind of hold this point with the Uber charge if they just get it up and start getting close. But Colin gets dropped in the meantime, walks too far forward, eats a sticky. That's going to make it very hard to contest here. A nice trade, though, from Melvin onto the enemy Demoman, evens things up. So we'll see what happens. They are going to get the Uber 99-100%. Do they want to go? Yes. It's going to be solo onto Holly, trying to find some kills. Aimboat and Tree Monkey end it, but they don't actually get kills. But thanks to Melvin, they do find Iku. That's another pick class death for the medic of DZCreatures, and even though they only got one kill, it was the important kill.
Yep, that's exactly what they need. They'll lose Melvin, but the rest of the bombers coming in, not going to find anyone else. Lemon goes down, and everyone stays alive outside of the sniper. It's going to be Lizard forced back, opening the shutout for Wazari, who won't find anything other than maybe a death. Holly chasing in, gotta land the shot. Wazari juking for his life. The ball hits and will bleed out. But Colin goes down. Must have gotten a little too forward. I think that was on to Bats. So, add in favor of Manfart, but that demo down could open up some space.
Yeah, they're going to get Tree Monkey as well. Trade it for DC Creeper, that's very worth it on their side. But look at that, Walrus gets a lot of damage and a couple kills on that flank underneath. So that's going to be small man ad for inside BBC. That said, they are not the highest HP. Just going to get their Uber out, get out, heal people up, and likely recontest. They have ticked into the time lead here. So with that Uber, they're going to go and stop this capture. Jumping forward is Colin, trying to put 6 on the shutter. Scout looking for some damage, but no kills coming over. Now EQ on 80%. Looks like DZCreatures regrouping on Bats, trying to find something. They did catch the spy out, so that's going to be an opening pick.
Yep, Blizzard going down right away, so does Dinko. Tree Monkey doing so much, takes out Echo at 99! The chain medpacks are exactly what BBC needs, and they keep finding Echo, this time 1% away. Wazari gets the kill onto Walrus, but that might be the only one that they find. Easy surfs off of Bats, but Wazari, no! Staying alive, finds Manfart, getting too greedy on the angle. The point's going to remain BBC's right now, but slight ad for Echo.
Yeah, I mean, DZCreatures hasn't had an Uber for most of this round. I think they've popped Uber one time up to this point. They are going to walk back onto the point with spawn advantage, but they've bled time out. They've bled pretty much the entire 3 minutes in a row out, and now bomb onto Iku again, popped into the middle by the soldier, but good peel this time coming through. They're going to get 5 kills and clear up their medic, make it 6. Holly coming in a bit after the crowd, but with that, there is a recapture. No overtime yet for BBC, but they will have time to build this Uber and go for their push. EQ on 80%. Looks like DZCreatures want to try and get a bit of aggressive here.
Now, I thought that sack, I think they wanted to probably try to get overtime out of that, but end up with just the 2 seconds left. An ad for Iku, but with Manfart coming up on 75, they will have an exchange. So long as no catastrophes happen to this met. The BBC starting to peek out onto Bats. 1 cap will likely be all it's going to take for them. Bam coming over, gonna find the mini as now it is even Uber. Walrus scoping out from Shutter. Uber popped out.
Yeah, popping through the shutter, exchange coming through, both sides even. Lizard getting a flash just to keep him healthy. Pretty much no damage actually happening in the exchange. So now that that shininess is gone, we'll see what BBC want to do. They're going to drop off bats, send a couple people under. When Lizard is taking an aggressive peek, trying to fight Walrus on the box, commits for it. No one goes down immediately, but there's a stab onto like a Sir Holly going down as well. Frags flying in on both sides. It's a 5v5 on the point, but look at that. JPEG is getting a lot of cleanup kills on the side. Neither man close to Uber. It's a 3v3. What? Crushes everybody, and DZCreatures takes that round by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, I mean, we thought EZ was gonna win that round, and they did, but it was not the round they were hoping for.
I mean, EQ had chain deaths forever. They had 2 Ubers in that round, one in the first minute, one in the last 10 seconds, right? So if that doesn't happen, that round goes a lot differently, but the fact that it can happen is what's important. So we are into round 2 here. We'll see what BBC want to do on this mid. They got pretty steamrolled last time. They're going to lose Walrus off rip, but they do deny Dingo this time.
Yep, JPEG gonna go down as well. It looks only 2 for 2 thus far. Way better positioning on the side of DZCreatures. They're only able to trade frags, but they do so getting enough extra damage that they are able to get that mid secured in the resulting 6v6. Lemon dropping down to the shutter, not gonna find anything. Melvin taking some angles off of bats, finds TK. Could be an opening for the explosive classes now without that Pyro beat down.
Aimbot has
Holly
a straight walk onto the medic. He's gonna get his dead ringer popped, and he actually gets the sniper somehow, so good salvage to get a good pick.
Drops onto Eku, just comes right over as the spy's going in, and those med problems persist into round 2.
Yeah, it was a good rocket straight onto EQ's head. No one was able to react to that in time, and that drop is going to make it so it's a free Uber here from BBC. They're going to walk forward, clean up the kills, Holly getting a nice 2k, and they're going to get their first cap of the round a lot earlier than they did last round. So things looking up for BBC in this one, and they get to keep even Ubers.
Exactly, yeah, and I mean, this time, you know, only 30 seconds off the clock, not a minute 45. He's got to have them feeling good, and just Tree Monkey really having a strong game thus far. Able to get that drop onto EQ, opens up everything right now, playing aggro on fans. Gonna just try to put out some pressure. Has been scouted out, not jumping out yet. Will get some damage into the combo before leaving, but...
Ooh, Lemon stab onto Manfart. Lemon gonna take that kill down, but look at that, Tree Monkey getting 2 onto Wazari and Lizard is going to make it very hard for them to actually play forward. So despite that med kill, looks like it's just going to be DZCreatures hanging back a bit, getting their spawners and getting the supercharge.
Yep, they will have Manfart just now spawning as Eku peaks 100. UBC's going to want to try to get the force here, but it doesn't look like they have the bodies or the presence to do that. So likely just going to be forced to give this up for free. Tends to happen when you let your men get stabbed. Colin jumping forward, trying to get the
double
stab.
reflex.
Gets the reflex air shot too, just for the style points. Lemon gonna find Witch as well. Not the sight you want to see your Pyro getting stabbed on your own bats, but the cap goes through Manfart up to 50% right now. Sack 1 from Colin already failed. See if they go for another one.
Yeah, I mean, they have time to if they want. They could also drive pressure and try to bait an Uber charge out of DZCreatures. It's pretty simple to do on Ashville if they're going to play this close box with a medic. You've had a lot of success going over the top, so a soldier plus a couple of people running out of shutter should get it, but they are just going to wait, hang back, and get the Uber charge. A lot of people coming out ramp here for BBC trying to get their sniper out onto fans, but was already opening up onto Colin is going to make things very difficult with that Demoman down.
Yeah, just no demo to really spam this heavy out, get a lot of pressure. DZ's gonna bleed out, so that Engie going down is a body, but Lemon answering to Tree Monkey. Both soldiers will go down here, so those long spawns, it's gonna favor the offense, but again, Colin going down, such a push stopper.
Yeah, they're gonna go anyway. Colin over the top, gonna be getting that exchange. Both team, couple flashes. Ubers are gone. Both soldiers, still the one's dead. Aimbot is dead now to TK as well. So Tree Monkey off his respawn, gonna be jumping up top, taken very low by JPEG. Gets back, headshot to Holly, taken low as well. The health is very bad for BBC here. So 4 players in the red, and Wazari gonna go down. In the meantime, Colin, some good sticky snipes coming through. DZCreeper is in there. That's for sure. Tree Monkey gonna go down, but with that, they are gonna be able to walk out with a shutter. BBC have more players, faster spawns, gonna be able to get this recap.
Yeah, that kill onto Azari really opened things up. Colin finding the stickies to make sure that the rest of the team can just swing wide, play those wide angles. Nico coming in, gonna get shut down. Wizard will find Walrus, so no defensive heavy, but 2 for Aimboat. Gonna stop any real contest, I think, here. Holly getting forward will trade with Broccoli, but that should be the end to the hostilities for the time being. Manfart going to be content to sit back and get that Uber Echo, even though, so an exchange coming soon.
Yep, Tree Monkey continuing the aggressive play, going to be jumping up on those fans, and now they're only down 45 seconds about here, so with this Uber, BigBrainComp have the chance to get back into it. Fast exchange coming through out of Shutter from DZCreatures as Tree Monkey gets in on it too. Soldier getting a flash is not super common on Ashville, but they are going to just get him healed up and playing under the enemy bats, and boats there as well. Walking out with the fans now is Broccoli. Look at that, a lot of kills coming through from the heavies. Tree Monkey and Dinko both dead. Melvin going to drop as well, and DZCreatures are getting more of the kills here in this post. Aimboat looking for something, but caught out, and you saw even for EQ, that's going to be very helpful for separating that even Ubers.
Taking a watch for Zari, getting aggro on ramp right now, taking angles into lobby, might have had a shot on Manfart. Not able to land it though, and that will be the cap coming back through. So, strong offense from DZCreatures. They're going to have pretty solid ad as well. I think Manfart just must not have been dealing too well.
EQ got a saw off the spy, so that's why.
There we go.
Yeah, they do know that EQ has an Uber because of the saw, so they're just going to have to wait for their own. They don't want to waste the time on the sack because there is only 20 seconds left on the clock. Pick onto Lemon, who's not have to worry about it. Aggressive Uber coming out of DZCreatures, looking to see what they can do. They have a lot of damage, so much damage down. They get Pyro, NG, Heavy, not the biggest picks, but it is something. And now Uber coming out onto the enemy team. Broccoli hits an amazing surf out, but just too far in. Can't get out. Uber going to end, and only 1 kill gotten back, so now Number's going to flood back in for DZCreatures, looking to collapse, and the point can't get touched by anyone on BBC, so just like that, it's going to be a 2-0 start for our favorites here. Closer than I give them credit for, BigBrainComp, but still not able to get one over the line.
Yeah, not as close as that first round. You know, they were able to get the early kill onto Eku, but none of the chain kills that we saw in round 1, and I mean, just feels like your BBC's managing to find the big plays, but they're not able to consistently pull off the small ones. You know, they're consistently losing. I feel like Walrus has been going down at some pretty inopportune times for them. To, you know, like losing either heavy v heavies or getting picked out. Wazari hasn't been doing too much, but anytime he comes up in the kill feed, it does feel like there's a pretty big impact there. These aren't NG body shots in the wind down of a fight. This is, oh, BBC just capped, but, you know, we got a demo or we got a heavy here.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about in the lead up about how if this was product, I think the game would be closer. I think if this was product, DZCreatures wins that first round. Or BUC wins that first round, rather. Because they made so many plays into Iku. Iku had 2 Ubers the entire round. They made so many like big individual moments, but they were just outplayed in like the overall macro of the game to the point where this being Asheville is not doing them any favors. I think on the most DM heavy map of product, they'd stand a much better chance because they've shown they can make the plays. They have a lot of people doing very well individually. It's just we're seeing a bit of a difference in like the overall team experience here.
Of note too is we've got the logs up looking JPEG and Holly almost identical KDs, but significantly more damage coming out of JPEG, about 50% more, 260 to 408 on the DPM. You know, I'd say Tree Monkey probably came ahead in the Soldier v Soldier, but demos, you're looking at a pretty big gap in favor of Scary Broccoli, and that wasn't a game that was such a runaway that you'd necessarily just automatically assume one demo is going to do better than the other. That's just due to hitting more stickies. And then to me, a big one too is looking at the heavy, the deaths in particular. Walrus has more kills, but 2 more kills for another 5 deaths on heavy not going to be worth it, especially because, you know, sometimes you'll see someone play a really aggressive heavy, like Triple, sometimes you'll see play that style, where, you know, your heavy's going and eating all this space, they're dying, and everyone else is feasting off of that. I'm not getting those vibes from Walrus. These are deaths that he's really trying to avoid.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that because they did lose 0-2. Granted, it was closer. Okay, the game was close because of the kills onto Iku in that first round. In the general play, other than that, BigBrainComp was outplayed across the board in general. Obviously, they had some individual players, you know, keeping up with their contemporaries, most notably Tree Monkey, probably having the best game of everyone on BBC. That said, I really think the big issue just comes from like overall team experience and like game plan on Asheville, because Well, when I look at the logs, the thing that jumps out at me is that you win on Asheville 2-0 a half when your medic has 2 more deaths than the other medic. So that just tells me that even without the Uber charge, you're still playing the map at a baseline better, to the point where the other team can't actually do enough with their Uber charge. And it's not like the Ubers, like the 2 deaths were like inconsequential for Uber building. They were very impactful deaths. Like we had a 99% death, we had a backstab after a 1 fight, right?
And a drop.
Yeah, and a drop. So there were big deaths, like deaths that swing a whole like 45 seconds to a minute in your favor, and still BBC couldn't pull off a round. So to me, that just says that they're not up to par from a macro perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, it helps looking at the logs too. I mean, it is the combo to me that's even with the deaths on Iku, it's the rest of the combo classes. It's Scout, Demo, Heavy, Pyro that are really the ones falling behind the most on BBC. I mean, 2 more kills for Wazari, 2 more kills for Lemon. I'm not really weighting those too heavily, but you look at the deaths, you know, TK staying alive, less deaths than his med, which you could say, okay, maybe that shouldn't be happening, but, you know, staying alive, putting out pressure. Likewise with Lizard compared to Witch and Walrus having significantly more deaths than their component. I mean, Pyro Heavy 10 deaths compared to 20 on the side of BBC. You'd think that with all those deaths, you know, Manfart would have more things getting on him. So all hats off to Manfart in that case. But when your kind of protection classes that are good at blocking people from getting in on you have doubled the deaths of the opposing team in only 2 rounds, it's not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it for a third time. I really do just feel like this is a team loss. I don't feel like you pin this on any one player for BBC. And, like, whenever the game feels like this, like, the logs corroborate this, but also just, like, the feel of the game, no one player is running away with it, right? Like, the player we've seen with the most individual impact is very up for debate, and it's neither sniper. Both, like, no snipers taking over the game. The spies have like 1 pick on average that like gets big, maybe a 2k here and there. Scouts are doing all right. JPEG and Tree Monkey had the best games individually, and even then it didn't seem like they were dominating the server. So I really just feel like this is like an overall team loss. And when you think about like how you improve on that going into a second half where you got close 2 times, like, obviously you had a round that was basically double overtime, and then one that was sub 1 minute left. You have to try and figure out how you can snowball these like individual wins that your players are getting into actual round conversions. And to me, you just need to have a better game plan on like when you're in that lead position, what's your idea of how to keep it? So if you get to that lead position on Asheville and you have Uber ad with the clock winding down, you need to make sure that you're keeping players alive at the very end. In the last round we saw just now, where it was winnable for BBC, but then they got aggressive Ubered on by DZCreatures and lost 3, that's a round-winning play from DZCreatures. That's great. You need to know how to respond to that or how to do that when it's your time.
Yep, but we are back into the second half right now. Round 3 coming at you. As going to be no one dying instantly this time, so better than what we've seen previously. Lizard's going to be the first one going down. Big pressure. Pyro on walking forward. Gonna get extra damage on Iku. Colin able to finish that off. Tons of kills everywhere, but Manfart staying alive. Lemon coming in makes me a liar. Gonna take out Colin before he goes down as well.
Yeah, that's a great play by Lemon. That was a super chaotic mid. Like I mentioned with BBC playing it really aggressively. Both teams just going all in. We saw BBC have a Pyro and a Soldier just W1ing, jumping immediately inside the enemy team. And that one got down to a 4v4, but at the end, the Lemon 2k going to secure things for DZCreatures. Both meds starting to charge from scratch here as DZCreatures walking out with their fresh spawns. They did get a snipe up to Scary Broccoli, BBC did, so likely going to try and walk forward, but they just lose 2 immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say, they want to use that demo down as an opportunity to go in. They're going to get Lizard, but they drop 5 for it.
Manfart's
too many on the
well.
walk-up. Manfart's going to go down as well, so that
yeah,
even
JPEG
Uber...
and Lemon just cleaned up everyone.
Just an overcommit right there. I mean, looked like something might have been going in their favor with that demo kill, but like the Sir gets caught out just going a little bit too far ahead of the rest of the team, and they bleed so many people trying to kill Lizard, and Wazari all the way up on ramp, finds Witch in the middle of the lobby. Not gonna really do too much as a Pyro kill, but could spell something if they choose to get aggressive.
Yeah, full Uber now for Iku and Co, so they're going to sit on the point very aggressively. Likely going to try and Uber into their team the second they see them commit fans. JPEG scouting out for that, going to be getting a buff from his medic. High bomb comes from Colin, looking to find some damage, and a follow-up onto the sniper for 2k again out of aimbot. It's all they get, though. Everyone else just going to fall in the meantime. Close for Holly onto the medic there, but Iku holds that Uber, not flinching. And honestly, decent sack from BBC. I mean, it was well thought out. Just the execution is what sold them short there.
Yeah, I mean, very possible they get the drop onto Eku there with how hard he was milking that. Not meant to be the, and a lot of those good stabs are going to go to waste. However, it does buy them time to get the exchange. The Uber comes out. More flashes on the side of red means that it's going to be about an even Uber, all things considered. Tree Monkey in on the back, finds Lizard still there on ramp, goes for the re-jump right onto Eku. One rocket, two, gets him low. It will be Holly's pistol finishing that one off. Big Walrus walking forward, gonna clear out the remainders on ramp, and this will be a BBC cap, but 2 minutes already off the clock.
I've really not been impressed with Iku at all this game. Normally on Ashville, if a medic has a lot of deaths, things like soldier or pick classes, you can chop it up to someone also slacking. Everyone says, oh, the medic positioning is their responsibility, but the protection classes have to do their job. Iku's positioning whenever Tree Monkey's been on him has not been good. I'll say that. I've seen him take a lot of damage where it's avoidable. He loses track of where Tree Monkey is and when the re-jump is coming, and then when he does see a rocket to surf, he's surfing into the open. So yeah, that's just my little dissertation on why I've not been impressed with Iku. But with that, Manfart now going to have full Uber. They drop a couple players, but with spawns, they are going to likely try and Uber here and stop this capture.
Yep, Uber does come off right here. Iku's still only on 75. They will get the flash into Colin, keep him alive. DZ's going to go down. Ultimately, they just trade him for Tree Monkey. They do manage to clear the point, keep the time ticking in their favor. Dinko gonna get his head blown off right there, but Lemon coming in finds Manfart and Scary Brock. He wipes up first the combo in short order. After that, looks like BBC might have had something going, but they're gonna get wiped shortly after that. Uber DZ really asserting their dominance right now.
Yeah, I mean, stab onto the medic, pipe kills everyone else. The idea from BBC is good. You use your Uber to stop the point. Now they're going to come back in, try to kite it out, but just got caught on their kite by, spy soldier classes that can get aggressive on you. So now, DZCreatures hold a full Uber ad. They're going to try and hold it forward. They got heavy on fans, sniper on the crates, so see what they can do to stall this out. They are very close to putting things into overtime, so it's pretty desperate right now for BBC. They need another EQ drop coming in here, otherwise it's not really hopeful at all. Do get 2 picks here to open things up, so see if they can do any more. JPEG is so aggressive, just making the enemy team think twice about walking onto fans.
Yep, as the Uber does come out, rest of the team gonna flood in right here. Just going to be a meat grinder on the point, a little bit of cap time game. They're going to find a kill onto Dinko and Melvin, now onto Eku as well. Starting to warm up maybe, but maybe
barely got in
too
time.
late.
They have to stay on there, yeah. The mini sentry was MVP at the end. It just completely stopped them from walking onto the point. Bought time for
note is that I feel like Manfart's really been pretty elusive this game, outside of maybe a little bit of spy unawareness. Which isn't necessarily a great thing when you're losing your meant to spy, but otherwise they haven't found Manfart too often.
Yep, we'll see if that continues into this 4th round. This is match point for DZCreatures. One more point on the board completes that 4-0 sweep, so see if they can get it across the line. In the meantime, EBC are looking good in this mid. First time, they kept their medic alive. They have a bunch of kills here, now looking to collapse onto EQ. They will get that medic, and that's going to be a mid-fight win for BBC.
Yeah, a lot of that started too. A Tree Monkey just kind of Goomba Dinko in midair, completely denied the bomb by launching him into the roof. Ends up going down. Dinko stays alive, but means that there's no real forward pressure ever coming out. And it just lets the rest of the team slow play it, walk forward, and take that mid on their own.
Yep, so now with 100% Uber, we'll see what BBC want to do. This is the most advantaged they've had, most advantaged position they've had in the game so far. I like the idea of playing Walrus under bats, putting Tree Monkey on fans. Aimboat is going to get out of dodge there just in time. Colin looking to put some sticks on the shutter, so this is a pretty solid initial hold they have going here. They're going to Uber immediately up onto bats. We'll see what Holly can find. Looking for a sniper, but not actually going to get the kill. They will take down Holly in the meantime. Melvin stabbed and Tree Monkey dead as well, so they actually lost more players than they gained on that Uber.
Yep, as it happens to be that not the best Uber there. And it's going to be DZ slowly flooding into point right now. Aimboat and Witch going to be the two that go down for it. Colin spamming from bats. They'll get Lizard with Walrus playing close. Colin going to get nuked off of fans. Manfart safely back in spawn, so not, no harm, no foul. Just trying to get whatever they can to stop that point. It gets Lizard spawn extended as well. However, doubt they're going to have much of a window to push off of, but a minute ad for BBC right now.
Watch out for Wazari. He's gone into the side. Tremux is going to see him, so not actually going to get that shot through the middle of the lobby. That's so dangerous. Lemon taken out as well, so no comms on this combo rotation. BBC walking onto bats with 90%. Pick onto Melvin. SVS win for Wazari and co. So he's going to stand tall on that point tonight. Anyone swinging out wide, and with this sniper uncontested, it's so hard to do anything. You have to pop Uber immediately across the point, so they're going to get the counter force out of DZCreatures. Just going to back up. No damage happening in the exchange. We'll see what they can do in post.
Yeah, they're going to lose Witch, which just doesn't, losing bodies never helps anything. Melvin taking shots at a shutter. Gonna land a shot onto Wazari, though. Now Lizard's going to be forced back.
Lemon gets two, though.
But yep, Lemon finds two, including Melvin. So no sniper means that Lizard can play wide.
Blocks the medic, too. Great play by Lemon.
It's the worst feeling as a med when you're like, I didn't get backstabbed. You're using your collision model to beat me. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, and even though BBC had the good opening to the round, they're now firmly on the back foot. Iku has 50% ad coming through, and now they're bats holding. So if you are BBC here, you have to try to force people from other avenues in the lobby. They are going to get people walking up the ramp, so DZCreatures taking their small win, backing up, how you like to see it done. Now Iku up on 95% Uber. This is where you like to see a stack come through from BBC. You still have time on the clock to do it. You still have 50% to build, so stack is exactly what you need here. They're just going to force, actually.
Yes, Scary Brown jumping forward, finds the kill onto Melvin. Walrus and Colin both going to go down as well. Manfar pretty safely out of this, then they will get the kill onto Broccoli. So, too many down to really capitalize on that. With Manfar at 65, I don't think you want to risk the med. Inko getting forward does get some damage onto Manfar, but that should be the end of the wave. For now, Manfar likely going to be free to finish up this Uber. Time now went from a minute up for BBC to a minute down. They're gonna have to get a point soon here if they want to keep this match alive.
Yeah, look at this though. Don't pop this Uber for BBC. I love this. So that you know that the other team is left for free. This is a play done to bait the Uber into nothing. But we can pop it. Lemon's in. No one knows they do know. Lemon not going to get that stab. And now aggression coming through. Uber popped out for BBC, trying to clean up all these players sacking in. And that's exactly what you wanted for DZCreatures. So once they're on the point, you just sack onto them, get that Uber funnel in. And now Iku with basically a full ad coming through. Only 30 seconds left on the clock. DZCreatures prime position for the 4-0.
Yeah, you really like to keep that Uber if you're Manfart, but with all the sackers coming in, it's not worth it to lose 4 or 5 people in order to do so. You just, it'd be the same result anyways. Might as well hope you can maintain the defense. Was already going down off the bat is promising. Means that they'll be able to play wide in post. Colin already up on bats. TK though, going on the big flank from behind bat. Gonna find Manfart, gets the flare, that's a med kick immediately. TK keeps going, will get shredded, but it's enough to let the team get mulched. Coming in from the front to support big Pyro flanks.
Shame there was no backburner equipped on that one. That one gets a 2 or a 3k. Your spy gets the sniper and shutter, your pyro gets the medic on bats. Just how you drew it up. Definitely in the game plan.
I think he's on normal flares too. I'm pretty sure I just saw the flare crit come through there.
Yeah.
As
Backstab for aimbot onto Iku,
yeah.
but I don't think it matters. They're all just funneling into a meat grinder here. BBC's last desperate effort. Gonna stand tall with a heavy on the point, up on 36 HP, but JPEG's gonna come in and clean this up with the rest of the team. 7k for JPEG to close this game out, and that's gonna be the 4-0 that we all expected. Got more and more one-sided as the game went on.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for BBC. They had some moments there, but as you said, it's a team diff right there. And it just feels like they're unable to stop themselves from getting caught out making bad plays. The good plays are there. If you compare good plays made by each team, they might be kind of even. In terms of pulling off a good sack or a good coordinated stab, but the amount of unforced errors that BBC was making was just too much for if they wanted to have a legitimate shot at taking a round here.
Yeah, and like I said, this is the result everyone really expected. DZCreatures moving up to 2-0 in the season. Did they drop around last week? I don't think so, right?
No, it was 2-0, so
Yeah, so
they're...
it's still perfect.
I've had the logs tracking. I can confirm that Witness Gaming
JPEG
also...
is 16-2, by the way.
Ooh. I was say Witness Gaming also pulled off a 4-0 over Rib tonight. That one, some ugly stat lines coming out of there. So not too much of a missed opportunity. I think this is just one of those weeks where you don't have any great matches that you're looking at. Otherwise, we've got Dumb Kids against Locked In Syndrome, which I cannot imagine is going to be anything other than a 4-0. And then Penguin Logistics versus Redacted. So yeah, looks like a pretty... Yep, Dumb Kids did 4-0. Locked In Syndrome. See if I can find logs from Penguin's match.
This could have been the no rounds taken by the loser week.
We had at least one round there go less than a minute. So that's probably pretty close. Yeah, 4-0 for Penguin. Yeah, no, straight slate of 4-0s.
Yeah, no loser this week took a round on Asheville. So 4-0 every match coming through. A bit of a weak match, or a week rather. If we want to say it like that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair bit. I don't think looking at the logs too much here is really gonna tell us too much. It really is a team issue. I mean, you got to feel a little bit for Melvin and Aimboat, I think. You could argue that with the circumstances, they did about all they could. Had some pretty solid performances, but to me, the combo was just kind of falling apart around them.
Yeah, and with that, I don't really have much more else to say on this match. Every match this week as well, 4-0. So we're getting a bit of a better understanding of where our teams are standing in the pecking order. So like some teams very clearly standing above others. The table is going to be fun to look at in the coming weeks as the matches kind of spread out a bit more. Hopefully the teams close to each other have some closer matches coming up soon. But with that, I don't really got much else. So, I mean, congrats again to DZCreatures on the 4-0 sweep. BBC going to look to bounce back next week. 0-2 start for them. Not looking very good, especially if they fancy themselves a chance at playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I think this makes it a lot harder for them losing, because you got to figure that if you're looking at DZ as probably the 5th seed, that's a team you have to beat. In addition, now, you already needed to probably beat one of Rib and Penguin Logistics to make it in. Much less Witness or Dumb Kids. With this loss, it's very difficult for me to think that BBC has any meaningful hopes of playoffs here. But you never know. With this, you've got Prout coming in later in the season that could potentially be one of the more upset-heavy Koths we'll see, and then Steel at the end of the season could spell good things. But as you said, yeah, I think we're having a better idea of where these teams fall in, and to me, it kind of feels like the overarching question this season is, you can fight a little bit for seeding in the top 4 teams, but otherwise we're waiting until week 7 when DZ plays Rib on Steel for will likely be that 4th playoff spot.
Yeah, so we eagerly await those matches with higher consequence. But in the meantime, that's going to about do it for us here tonight. So I got nothing else. Although, anything you want to say?
I'll say we've got Penguin versus Witness next week, which I think we're looking at as a potential 2 versus 3 seed coming in. So should be a very good one there. Do we know what next week's map is? Is that Swiftwater?
I don't have it pulled up.
It's loading. It is Swiftwater, so that should be a very interesting one. The last time we saw Swiftwater was in the grand finals, and it was one of the better halves of a map I've ever seen, really. So I'm excited to get back onto it between 2 good teams that I know are going to be able to put up a solid fight against each other. So, as Zach said, yeah, bit of a flop of a week, but the teams that won going to appreciate the points, and we appreciate you coming out and watching. So, from all of us here in the cast, thank you, and we'll see you next week.